Hello, my name is Pedro Mêda and I'm here to present the work enabling circular construction information flows using data templates, conceptual frameworks based on waste audit action. This work was developed by me and also Eilif Hjelseth, Diego Calvetti and Professor Hipólito Sousa. Brief summary of the contents of this presentation. I will just run a brief overview on all the paper contents and then I move forward for the research that we developed in a more detailed. The motivation for this research starts with the reading of the European Union Guidelines for Waste Audits. This document was delivered to support the industry capability to improve its circularity, namely by improving the reuse and recycle rates of building objects to be deconstructed or that would be in the near future under a process of refurbishment. Focused on the environmental dimension, that is very good, it was noticed that somehow there was a strange issue, a lack of adhesion to the digitalization challenges. Performing a query on the document using terms such as digitalization or construction 4.0, there were some surprising results, as we will see. All queries resulted in 0 results. And even when the term was the omnipresent BIM concept, the result was also 0. This concern was the base for an in-depth research, where several strategic documents aimed for the construction industry challenges, namely those focused on digital transformation and sustainability and waste, that is, environment dimensions, revealed that no or few cross-references were made. Given the known resistance to change in the construction industry and the increasing concern of reaching to the field actors with clear concepts and streamlined strategies, the research mission is to raise awareness on the imperative need to combine and harmonize these strategies, as well as the development of tools and conceptual approaches with the ability of bridging the existing gap between the construction industry strategic dimensions using data and digital information flows. So the outcome is to provide clarity for stakeholders on how their innovation strategies can range or target both of these industry goals. So given this brief overview, let's move into the detail of the work that was developed. And we start with a research methodology that consisted on a literature review targeting the strategic documents and some research works on the topics that I already have mentioned. Key elements identified were the construction industry value chain and built environment reusability. These were supported by the European standard 15978, that is sustainability of construction works, namely the life cycle phases and also the waste audit guidelines. The identified research question was the following: should circular construction be built upon circular and digital information? As the waste audit was the starting point, all the concepts were built around its role on the construction life cycle, highlighting how it could benefit and impact both digitalization and sustainability challenges. Two main elements were assumed as key for the overall industry considering digitalization and sustainability. These are the built environment and the construction value chain. They stand in opposite corners, as one represents the results of the construction industry and the other reflects the processes from which nature becomes a built environment. The construction process value chain, represented by the different phases, includes also services, service providers or stakeholders, products, logistics, human research, among many others. The digital transformation trend has been raised in several strategic documents as those that are evidenced, and you could look in detail in the research paper. From this results a strong emphasis on BIM, digital twins, namely at city and built environment scales, and all these concepts are supported by data, from construction products data to all other types of construction-related data that are mostly produced during the construction process or construction value chain. Likewise, the other documents have been focusing on sustainability and waste trend. From these come out the concerns on the reuse and recycle of built environment components and products that should rely on the evaluation of their characteristics as well as the assessment of the amounts or quantities of these products and elements. From this highlights that there is a strong focus on built environment data as an enabler for a more sustainable industry. In brief, the digital transformation challenge is mostly focused on looking forward to the construction process, using digital tools and data to streamline the industry productivity and competitiveness. The sustainability and waste challenge is mostly focused on looking back to the existing built environment and its characterization. This is data, to foster the industry's circularity and sustainability. Despite the differences in time, both above-mentioned data dimensions constitute in fact the same data. Yet there is a communicational gap, preventing stakeholders to understand that actually the subject is the same and unique. To bridge this communicational gap, it became very clear that the need to conceptualize frameworks that could evidence that this is the same data. To do so, some supporting concepts were brought to the research as follows. Following the construction process value chain phases, the first to come is the data template. Data templates are digital and interoperable structures supporting construction objects data. They are envisaged to born close to manufacturers, becoming specific products, systems, or objects datasheets. But also, the data templates can support owner requirements definition at project early phases. As shown, data templates are meant to be information exchange enablers across the construction life cycle. The digital building logbook is a recently defined concept, but there are many tools on the market that already support part of its scope. In brief, it consists of a massive information repository of all relevant building data, from construction data, where datasheets are part of it, to administrative data related with the built object or data related with its recyclability. As mentioned, the waste audit was the research trigger. It is an action set for the preparation and better assessment of the characteristics and amounts of products that are going to be deconstructed, seeking to identify the maximum that can be recycled. Despite the absence of digitalization on the guidelines, there is one concern that aligns with it, that is the data traceability aspect. So, these concepts were assumed as the starting point to bridge the gap between two strategic dimensions, to evidence how these strategies must be combined to foster circularity and, as well, to obtain an answer to the formulated research question. The case study that follows aims to show how this could work. So, let's consider an existing building that is going to be refurbished or demolished. First, This to happen, a waste audit action is required, and as part of it, a material inventory should be made. The guidelines provide specific templates for developing the waste audit, and these are constituted by several tables that systematize material characteristics. Yet, in fact, these characteristics are mostly the same that come on the data templates or on the data sheets. This is a touch point that in reality is failing to happen. If the data templates start to be used to support waste audit, we get the products to be reused or to be recycled with the same data structure that new products have. This facilitates its characterization and acceptance. Likewise, as mentioned, if the buildings are to be refurbished, through the use of data templates, all the information will follow the same format to be stored, linked, or managed by the digital building logbooks. Similar situation can be applicable to foster circularity in new building construction, as through the use of data templates during the design and construction phases, it becomes possible to deliver a waste audit during handover phase, meaning that all the required data for reuse and recycle is delivered with the building. So we jump into the conclusions. And the first is that there is a gap in the construction industry strategies that should be bridged, namely to get more close and provide less confusion to the stakeholders or the field actors. Data is the key element to bridge this gap. We notice that there are several strategic documents that don't mention both dimensions, but there are some research works that already do that. So there needs to be a more focused approach on research works that could range both of these challenges and both of these dimensions, namely to identify headings towards a strong innovative actions providing added value both in digitalization, such as sustainability. And the answer for the research question. Circular construction will only happen if it is built on data. Data following digital information flows, cut crossing all the construction life cycle, and if possible, more. So, in a nutshell, and to resume all the research that was developed, this figure is the summary of everything. It is the Circular Construction Life Cycle Information Flow conceptual framework that adds other relevant concepts referred on the strategic documents for the sector. So, thank you very much. Virtual hugs for all. Keep safe. And I'm looking forward to receive questions from you. Thank you.